Thanks for tuning in to our New York Jets post-game report for Jets FM on the OFN. We have a new uh, format that we're going to be introducing starting now. I will be doing the post-game shows by myself, post-game reports. Jan Levine is going to join me midweek, and we are actually going to start that, I believe, next week. Um, and part of that has to do with the fact that we figured it was the time because it was Jewish holidays are out. So Jan's schedule is a little bit more difficult. So we just figured, okay, let's just try this for a few weeks, see how this goes. So again, I'll do the post game reports. Jan and I will come on midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday ish, and take a look at what's going on, and also preview the next games on the calendar for the New York Jets, which this week is Pittsburgh. But before we get to Pittsburgh, let's talk about the Bengals game. And look, this game was just simply all about the fact that the Jets could not generate the pass rush that every other team has been able. Well, the two teams, the Cowboys and the Steelers, were able to penetrate and take advantage. And that's a problem. That's a major problem. We said that going in, that if they weren't able to take advantage, then they would lose, and then it would be a big deal, and it is a big deal. I don't know what's going on there. You know, Lawson is clearly is gonna be one of those players that's gonna need another year. You know, I talked about the difference between his injury and Bosa's injury, same injuries. Bosa returned last year after the same injury after getting hurt week one, uh, and had a monster season the following year. So Lawson had his injury even earlier in training camp, and he hasn't been able to put anything together. Let's keep in mind he's not Bosa though. I completely get that. Okay. Um, so trust me. So yeah. So Bosa, and I know there's two of them, Nick and Joey, but you know what I'm talking about, the dude from the Niners. So fact is, he's still a good player, but he hasn't yet shown it on the field yet. Maybe he needs half a season. I don't know. Maybe a full season. As far as Quinnen Williams, we've also talked about him. I know there was this brush up with him and his coach. I'm okay with that because he's right. We'll get into that. He's absolutely 100% right, Quinnen. But I will say this, Quinnen, what are you talking about? What do you mean one-on-one? You're not doing anything. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat. I like Quinnen. He's our guy. But dude, what are you doing, man? I mean, you can't get more penetration and sacks against the Bengals, and you want to be paid like some superstar. And the New York Post put out something yesterday, and they said, you know, Jet star Quinnen Williams, you know, regarding the brush up with his assistant. What star? How is Quinnen Williams a star? He's not a star. Quinnen Williams is just a player that we hope can become a star one day. That's all he is. He's a good young player. He's a prospect. He's an NFL prospect. He is not a star. All right. I don't want to hear these underlying things that he does. We know that he can do those little things and he's still a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but we didn't draft him where he was drafted, and we're not going to pay him the way he wants to get paid to be that player. He needs to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. And right now, nobody's making plays, game-changing plays. Nobody. Okay, Quinnen Williams is not doing it. Lawson is not doing it. What did I say about Franklin Myers? I said it last year after he got paid. As soon as he got paid, okay, he's disappeared. Now, I was able to give him an excuse that, well, maybe it's because of the fact that he's playing out of position. He's playing more on the edge with Lawson's injury, and it's hurting his production because he's a much better player when he's able to rush inside and penetrate and all that stuff. Great, fine. I'll give him the benefit there. But first 2 weeks, once again, he's doing nothing. What is he doing? He was directly responsible for giving up 7 points in the game with that ridiculous penalty against, and here we go again. I mean, we had this problem with that bravado coordinator we had a few years ago, you know, with you know, the former Bounty Gate guy, you know, with how many times that we were called for roughing the passer like 3 times a game under that dude. And now What's the freaking difference? Every single game, we have a roughing the passer penalty. What did we have? I think we had 3 15-yard penalties in the game yesterday. And that was the big one. That was, of course, the biggest one. I'm getting sick of those. Everybody wants to run around and they're playing with the lights are on fire, hair is on fire. That's the way Robert Saleh wants. But coach, it's one thing for these guys to play with their hair on fire. It's another thing to play out of control with their hair on fire. That isn't going to work. And right now, that is what is happening. We're playing completely undisciplined football too many times. Once again, you got Gardner and who was that? Was that Quincy Williams trying to play in the zone? And they're why are they miscommunicating with Jamar Chase? Why are they in a zone with Jamar Chase? Was that Gardner's fault? I don't know whose fault that was, but I don't care when Chase is doing this and this guy's doing that. Dude, cover Chase. Okay, and if you run into the player or if you run into the Bengal receiver, maybe they'll call a penalty, whatever. But you can't do that. What do you want, that dude to cover Chase? So these communication breakdowns are happening once or twice a game. That's driving you crazy because we know the guys can cover. The coverage aspect is not bad. It's the miscommunication in the zones, and we play a lot of zone. That's what's bad. Okay, and again, we're not getting any pressure from the guys up front. And then we're getting and then how many times are you seeing when they should posted a stat about how the Jets have like NFL longest streak of giving up 21 points a game or more, whatever. And that's just continuing. How many games are we going to give up over 21 points? And these guys, they make a play or two and they're jumping up and down like we're a 2-0 team with the top 5 defense. I'm sorry, man. I don't mind the enthusiasm, but you haven't earned it yet. Okay, it's like this Quan Alexander nonsense. Oh, man, that's a good player, man. Quan Alexander, man. Yeah, he's good. No, he's not. Why do you think he's been on like a team a year? If he was so good, why do you think he keeps bouncing around? Quan Alexander is a highlight reel film dude. He's going to hit somebody once a game, and that's it. Okay? He's not making any plays. Nobody's making plays, man. You've got CJ Mosley. This is going on another year. What is he doing? Why are we paying this guy all this money? When he was on the Ravens, he was a playmaker, man. Is it our defense? Are we in the wrong scheme for him? Does he need to be in a 3-4? If that's the case, get rid of him. I don't care about having some linebacker on the team that can make 150 tackles. Big deal. Especially when 148 of them are behind the line of scrimmage, or not behind the line of scrimmage, excuse me. How many games? CJ Mosley, the only time in his entire career with us that he made plays was the first game against Buffalo, when it was like, that's the guy that we paid the big money for. That's what we wanted him here for. We haven't seen that guy since. Where's that guy? Where's the playmaker CJ Mosley? Not around. Nobody's making plays. And it's a repeat for 3 straight weeks now, where they get these quarterbacks running around in the pocket, and you can't bring them down. We saw it with Brissett last week. See, with Lamar Jackson, I'm going to excuse that. It's Lamar Jackson. Nothing you're going to do about it. But when you're letting Jacoby Brissett escape the pocket several times like he did against in a game that we made him look like Brian Sight or Bernie Kosar, and then you get Burrow, who's getting hammered the first 2 weeks. Like every team's, what they have, like probably 15 sacks against the first couple of weeks. And what do we get? We get him running around, escaping pressure, making plays. It's not just the fact that we're not getting the sacks. when you're running around avoiding pressure. It's that you then are allowing him to make a play after he's running around and we're not bringing him down. What is it with us? Why can't we? How come we can get the guy to run around, but we can't get him? We can't bring him down. What is it with that? I'm getting a little bit, fed up with that kind of deal. And Ulbrich, dude, seriously, who told you to blitz? The whole idea with Robert Saleh's 4-man defense, and the whole idea when you play the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the worst offensive line going this season, is you have got to do it with your guys up front. You shouldn't. They should. I know there were times when he would even bring like a fifth guy, or maybe even a sixth guy. He brought the kitchen sink in the game in the touchdown that we gave up against. But so why do you even need to blitz anybody? Why? If your 4 guys can't beat their 5 the way their 5 are going, I don't know what to tell you. We shouldn't have been blitzing anybody. Nobody. I don't know what he's doing. I'm sick of his press conferences too. He's always talking up and talking about how things are all great and this guy's great and whatever. I'm sick of those press conferences too, dude. I don't even know why you're here. Okay, you have no credentials. We hired Robert Saleh because he's a major defensive guy. Okay, we wouldn't even know who Robert Saleh basically was unless he was a top defensive coordinator. Now you've got offensive head coaches that come here or go and how many times have you seen an offensive coach go somewhere and relinquish the play call duty? Never. They hardly ever do. Like 95% of them call the plays. So why is it that Robert Saleh felt the need immediately that he needed to be Mr. CEO? Why? Why can't you call the plays on defense? That's what you were brought here for. To be, nobody hired you because you were a great head coach. Nobody knew what kind of head coach or CEO you were going to be. You even said it last year. It was a learning process. It was hard. You didn't know how to do that. And nobody would have hired you for that. Okay, and I understand that in the long run, I think he can be a CEO. I really do. And I'm not saying I don't believe in him, so let's not even go there. But dude, you are a really good coordinator. Do what you do best. And if this guy is not going to get the job done, then get him out of there. Okay? I don't want to hear about loyalty or any of that nonsense or, putting guys under the bus or anything. I don't care about any of that stuff. Okay? If you're the best man for the job, get the job done. Because right now, I haven't seen anything, nothing from last year to these first 3 games this year that lead me to believe that he is going to be some sort of great defensive coordinator. Nothing. So fix that. All right? Fix it. And if you can't find a way, and I don't know, maybe Pickett starts this week. But if you can't find a way to get pressure again, because Pittsburgh's offensive line is, in my opinion, I think they're worse than Cincinnati's. You just haven't seen it yet over the course of a season. By the time the season's over, I bet you they're going to be worse. So they do not have a good offensive line. So enough with the blitzing. And get your 4 guys and Quinnen Williams, time for you to be a star, make plays, make sacks behind the line of scrimmage. Franklin Myers, time for you you got paid, well, make plays. Okay, you got paid, make plays. Johnson's a rookie, so I'm not going to go there. I think he's done a fine job as a rookie. But where's everybody else? Where's some of these free agents you signed? Some of these, some of these edge. You know what? If they're not going to get the job done, then elevate the dude from Utah that had a really good preseason. Give him a chance. Because has anybody heard the name Jacob Martin yet in these games? I haven't. Sit the bench. Get back, it's time for you to sit out. Give someone else a shot. Now, I guess Quinnen Williams' injury, so it's probably going to be long-term. Okay, it happens. Hopefully he'll be back and such. It ain't going to make a difference. Whoever's going to come in and replace him, it's not going to matter. It's not going to be the difference in a win or a loss the rest of the season. He was just a nice player. That's all he is. He's fast. He can help, but he's not a difference maker either. So it's not going to impact the defense at all. Maybe it gives another player an opportunity to help impact the game. So let's see what happens there. That would be nice. Give someone else an opportunity. And Flacco, look, we said it last week. If the game was over after Cleveland, let's say Cleveland does not, let's say take a knee. He doesn't score a touchdown. They run the clock out, game over. How would we have analyzed Joe Flacco's game? Not good. That's what we would have said. That's what I said last week. Not good. Did not play well. But because he got the reprieve and was able to make plays at the end, it upped his game. And all of a sudden, oh, wow, wait a second. Joe Flacco had a good game. The dude is too old, man. Are you looking at Matt Ryan in Indianapolis? I don't care that they beat the Chiefs. He's just as bad. These guys are too old. And this better be it. All right, look, I said it last week. It's nice that Flacco showed everybody that if you need me in a pinch, that I can win you a game. Can't go into this like 0-4 nonsense. You got to be able to believe that your backup can win you a game. Now we know it can win a game or a quarter if you need to. Fine, great. Put him on the bench the rest of the season. But Zach better play this week. And I said last week too, if you go into this stretch here, these next two games, and don't come out 1-1, and look, I don't think anybody really thought we were going to beat the Bengals anyway. Why do you think the reporters kept saying what they should have been saying? Which is true. I don't know what Coach his answers to the questions of. It was kind of Jet fans were wincing when the Bengals lost to the Cowboys because we knew what was going to happen. Which is what's going to happen is the Bengals are going to play that much more inspired to know that they can't go 0-3. That's the difference. And that's definitely part of what we saw, or especially early in that game on Sunday. But you're not getting that with Pittsburgh, okay? Because they're not a very good team. They are not, at this point, the way it looks, going anywhere, okay? And Pickett is going to get in there sooner or later. Hey, whether he plays or not, I don't know. Whatever. I don't care if it's Trubisky or Pickett, okay? Just get the job done. Make plays. Because they are not a good offense. And if you give up over 21, if that record goes on against Pittsburgh next week, all right, I don't want to hear it. We should not be giving over. Against that team should not score over 17 points against us next week, unless we give them 17 points on turnovers. That should not happen. And there's no JJ Watt. Okay. What kind of else of a break do you want? You have, how many times do we get breaks? Not very often. We've got a perfect break here. All I said was you go 1-1 after the miracle win in Cleveland, and you're doing fine. 2-2 early in the season, exactly what you could have hoped for. Everybody looked at the schedule. It's going to be tough. You can go 2-2 in the first. That is awesome. That's it. That's why I'm not going to, I can freak out and talk about a lot of what happened in the game, no question. But overall, expected a loss. So it is what it is. But you better be Pittsburgh. You cannot go 1-3 with the miracle win in Cleveland. That would not be a great start. So, Zach, get your ass in there. Doctors better approve him. And, it was just another one of those games where it's like, how many of these are we going to see? That's the thing that really is the frustrating part, is just it's the same stuff. It's like we can't bring the quarterback down when we have him in the pocket. Can't come up with game-changing plays on defense. We're kicking field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. And by the way, Elijah Moore, what's wrong with Elijah Moore? Is it Joe Flacco? Because Elijah Moore is not getting open. Somebody that is that fast, every time Flacco throws him the ball, he's covered. Why can't you get open? That's the part of a receiver. That's what makes a great receiver. I see Garrett Wilson getting open. You know, when Flacco throws Wilson the ball, he's open. Why aren't you open? Is that LaFleur's fault? Is it Flacco's fault? Is it Moore's fault? Whose fault is it? But that's getting old too. Is not understanding why he is not getting open. And I know, and you know, I understand why Coach says what he says. He sticks up for Flacco, and I know what he's doing. I know it. But no, I'm sorry. Coach was blaming more of the offensive line and why Flacco didn't have time. He brought that up. I'm sorry. He had time. I know that he didn't have perfect time. There was one play where they had two guys blocking, what's his name, for Hendrickson, and they still allowed the sack. That was terrible. Two guys blocking him, and they allowed the sack. But there were several plays that Flacco is standing in the pocket. Like, dude, you are not on your Super Bowl Ravens offensive line team. Get rid of the football. You cannot stand there. The one that he had the fumble, the one of his fumbles when he got strip sacked, his fault. He's standing there like this. What are you waiting for? Dude, throw the ball. Get rid of it or move. That's the problem. He can't move. Okay? It's just ugly to watch. And I can't watch it anymore. I can't watch this 37-year-old quarterback playing for me anymore. Just get Zach in there. If we're gonna lose, I want to lose with somebody that has got to start developing. I can't lose like this with a 37-year-old quarterback anymore. So things need to be fixed up, and that is the one thing that I have always said about Saleh. Is I've said, I don't know what kind of a hands-on player's coach he is, but I hope behind closed doors, nobody's watching, that he is giving it to these guys. Okay? Because you shouldn't be giving it to, you don't have to be giving it to them in the public. Because I wouldn't give the public anything anyway. You see what happens when you give the public something? They turn it on you. It's like with the receipt thing a couple of weeks ago. With the receipt thing, you guys are, the media is always blaming. They're so vanilla, the coaches. They never say anything. This is boring. Here you got a coach that says something. But you know what it was? Because they said it and it was like pointed at them, the media. I got receipts on you. So instead of the media, because all they're supposed to do is report the story, they take offense. Blaming me for. What are you blaming us for? We've been good with you. We haven't said anything negative about you. Yeah, okay, right. You haven't said anything. Just read. Why do you think he said what he said after the Baltimore game? Because the media acted like it was what happened in the first game of the season after that game was a microcosm of the entire 2022 campaign after one game. Like, dude, we just started the season and you're ripping the hell out of the team. He hasn't been here for 10 years, Saleh. He hasn't been here through all the losing. Why are you blaming him or his team like he's been a part of everything? Don't say anything like you've been nice to Coach Saleh. I don't want to hear that nonsense. That's because you guys can't take it. That's what the problem is. As soon as they give it back to you, you're gonna get them. Don't say that to me now. Oh, you shouldn't be saying about, why is he saying these things? So I just, the whole idea about Coach being this really nice guy, which he shows a persona when he's on doing the press conferences, and I completely understand that, and I'm okay with that. It would be nice if once in a while, doesn't have to do it all the time. The best coaches have done it. If you called out some players from time to time, there's nothing wrong with that. You got to learn how to do that. You got to learn how to do it the right way. Again, greatest coaches have done it. So you got to do it once in a while too, especially because we have to see that you're doing it. Not for the media, just for us fans. Okay. We count, not the media. All right. So let us know in some way, a little bit, that you are giving it to these guys. Because when we see personal fouls, after personal fouls, after personal fouls, and every game there's a personal foul penalty, well, you're not calling anybody out for, oh, you're saying, yeah, we can't do that. Well, why don't we talk a little, and if we're not gonna see it, okay, well, then why don't we see it with a guy, maybe, I don't know, like I just said, if players aren't going to make plays, then maybe they shouldn't be out there. And I'll say the same thing with coaches, okay? Because your job is going to be on the line next year if these guys don't play the way you want them to play. All right? Now, just because I believe in him, and I believe in Douglas, and I believe in what they're doing, okay, that doesn't mean anything. Who cares? The fact is that if what you're translating with your defense and Joe's players and your players, and for somehow it's not getting through to them on defense, then somebody else needs to take control. Okay? Then you take control. Don't worry about feelings. Don't worry about loyalty. Okay? So get it done. And I hope that in the next couple of weeks, that's exactly what we see. And everybody's going to start developing. But you know what? And he even admitted it yesterday. It wasn't the young guys that were making the mistakes. It was the veterans. So if the veterans are going to make the stupid mistakes, if Joyner's going to come up with a penalty, and Myers is going to come up with a penalty, well, what are we doing here? Okay, something is getting lost in translation. This play with your hair on fire rhetoric is there's okay, but you can't be reckless. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. Nobody, and fans, I'm sorry, we don't want to see you guys with your gyrations after making a play when we're down 10 points and we're 1-2. No, we don't want to see that. Okay, I mean, who are you kidding? Nobody's telling you that we don't like the enthusiasm. That's not what we're saying here. But you haven't earned it yet. You know, when I see somebody getting all, Mark Gastineau, when they get a sack on first down, what does that mean? Did we punt? Did we force a punt yet? What are you getting excited about? That means nothing. There's no punt. Wait until there's a punt, then you can get excited. Too much excitement and bravado. And I know a lot of these guys aren't from here. You got a mixture of the free agents and you got a mixture of the young kids who are coming from other programs. So there's a lot of guys coming in from different places. Maybe when they were in those places winning in college, or when they were in other places winning as free agents, maybe that was nice. But we don't win here. Okay, so until we start winning a little less of, look at me, a little less of me, and a little more. Let's win some football games first. Let's earn the right to get excited, and not just get excited. Excited is fine. Okay, again, I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to be in some old fuddy-duddy. But when you are a losing franchise, you absolutely cannot come around like you're something that you're not, because you're embarrassing. Whether it embarrasses me or not, I'm not there on the field. Nobody's looking at me. Nobody cares about me. You're just embarrassing yourself. And I don't know how you don't know that. I'm sorry, I just don't. So start playing winning football. Stop making dumb mistakes. So when you make big plays, you can get excited a little bit more than normal. Show the opposition, because what they're trying to do is the end goal that Sal was trying to teach here: play with your hair on fire and play physical and at full speed and all of this, and that's great. But when you do it and you're reckless, and you do it when you're giving up points, and then you make a play and then you get all excited, it's like, whatever. Nobody wants to see it. So I understand where Coach is coming from. I really do. And he's also another one that came from somewhere else that won a lot. So that's what he's teaching. You can do that. You can get excited. You can do this. But dude, this is a losing culture, a losing franchise. So baby steps, all right, with the excitement. Let's win some games first. And it better be Pittsburgh. That's all I care. That's all I'm going to say. Especially if Pickett plays. You lose to a rookie quarterback, give up 24 points or something like that, give up some breakdowns in coverage, especially if Flacco has to play again. I don't want to talk about that next week. So let's hope that they can get to 2-2 next week against the Steelers. That's exactly where they would belong. We'll get the season going. It'll be exactly what we need. 2-2, first 4 games, we'll be fine. You know, we're not the Dolphins, we're not the Bills, we're not at that point yet. Until this young team grows up, this is what this year is about. It's about growing up together. And if we can start, if we can get ourselves in position at the end of the season to be contending for a play, even if we don't get there, just to face those types of games, to be in those types of situations, there'll be a lot of growing up going on. That's what this team needs. And then next year we can take that next step. Like I said, we'll be back. I don't know if we're going to be back this week or next week. I forget. But that's going to be the schedule. So Jan will help me to preview the games, and we'll let you know what's going on middle of the week as well. So we're giving you 2 for the price of 1 for now. There'll be a post-game report, and then I'll do that, and then Jan will join me to get his opinion on what's going on. He's in New York, so he understands what's happening from their perspective as well. So that always helps. And then we'll take a look at the opponent coming up. Won't have to really talk too much about what just took place because I don't want to talk about that anymore. Please subscribe to the channel as well. Very important. If you like what we're doing here, whether it's with the Jet Show or with any of the shows that we have on the channel, very important to subscribe. We need the subscriptions up. That's definitely important. And also share these videos with your friends, social media. If you like them, you want to share them, please. That also helps us to grow as well. So thanks for checking us out here on Jets FM as we recap week 3. We move on to week 4 in our next broadcast, and we'll talk to you again real soon.